Hey, Adam Urbanski here, the Millionaire Marketing Mentor. Welcome to another marketing teaching moment. And today we'll talk about 9-step framework. That's 9-step framework to rapidly accelerate your business. If you are a little bit lost, a little confused, a little overwhelmed by too much to do and not enough progress, man, buckle up and listen in because this is exactly what you need to discover. And you see me going up and down, glancing a little bit. I'm looking at my feedback monitor and trying to look at you in the camera here. So as always, this is part of my weekly office hours action coaching call, and which reminds me, I've got to actually dial in to my action coaching call. I'm not quite sure. There's a little bit of I think I'm getting, like, when the messages pop up, I'm hearing little dings here today. Again, playing with new toys and seeing how it works. So let me dial into my actual call thingy. You're going to hear a little weirdness going on. Just bear with me. I've got to do this. There's no way of going about it. Perfect. Welcome to the conference. I feel very welcomed. Perfect. And so awesome to see you guys dialing into our bridge line as well. I've got a bunch of you on a podcast. So let's see. We've got to do a couple of things. Number one, we've got to do the recording. And number two, you know that I've got to do my music intro clips. So let's do Austin Powers as always. There we go, baby. International Man of Mystery. Welcome here. So let's see, we've got Julia Jackson, somebody new. Awesome, great to see her. Bozena, always an undying fan. All right, enough about that. All right, welcome to another edition of Action Coaching Call. This is yours, truly, Adam Urbanski, and so affectionately called by so many of you so many different things, as in the irreverent Reverend Dr. Professor, Ninja Jedi, Sensei, Samurai, and master of all things marketing and persuasion. So if you are listening on the bridge line, listen up. Here's the scoop. If for whatever reason this is your first time dialing in, you want to press star 2. You hear me double on instant. Well, that's not very good. Do you guys hear me double? All right. So let's see. This is my built-in microphone. You still hear me double? Man, this is just... All right, Julia and Melissa, are you ladies hearing me double, or are you hearing me just one time? Somebody give me a feedback. Are you hearing me double on a live, or is it just singular stream of audio, whatever you call it? Is it good? Is it bad? Do I need to fix anything? Are we good to go? I've got like a 7-second delay here between my broadcast and before it reaches you. So I've got to now twirl my thumbs and wait for you. All right, Melissa says just once. Everybody says hear me normal. Okay, you've got something double going on. All right. Thank you, though. We're good to go. For everybody else, you may want to log out and log back in. We're all good. Perfect. Thank you, Julia. Anyway, back to my crowd on the phone, listening to my action coaching call. Listen, so star 2 puts you in the queue. If you're listening on and we've got somebody already in Fall River, one person. Anyway, star 2 and we've got Jim in the queue. Awesome. And if you're listening on a webcast, you have a place to type in your question. If you're in our Fastest Path to Cash group watching this broadcast live, perfect. I'll be with you for about another 20-25 minutes walking you through this 9-step framework. All right? So without further ado, let me just get into the actual training. As always, ta-da, you know, I've got my notes. All right? I've got my framework prepared here. And my trusty cup. Today I'm drinking for my I Love Berlin, one of my favorite mugs, you know. Truth be told, I don't love Berlin that much, but I love the mug. It's just like perfect size. It's like, you know, it just feels great. It's glazed just the right way and holds just the right amount of tea for me. Perfect. Anyway, let's talk about 9-step framework to rapidly grow your business. Here's what you've got to realize. Number one, what is framework? All right. If you imagine a pile of puzzle pieces just laying on a table in front of you and someone telling you, okay, assemble those pieces into an actual complete puzzle. Give me the picture of what it needs to look like. Well, that's a little difficult unless you have an actual visual. What do you want to create? So a framework is kind of like showing you a big picture and saying, look, this is what you're building. Even more, framework is sort of like sorting all the puzzle pieces and into like corner pieces, edge, you've got a corner piece pile, you've got an edge piece pile, you've got a inside pieces pile. And on the top of that, you actually number them all from left to right, from top to bottom. You go, this is how you go. Just find the numbers and plug the pieces. And before you know, even if the pieces are flipped the wrong way up, right, the bottom up, you can still put your puzzle together because you go kind of paint by the number approach. That is what it means to have a framework. Now, whatever it is that you do, whether you coach people on relationship, on health, on money, on business, ideally, if you want more success in what it is that you do, you must have a framework. Now, sometimes you want to reveal this framework to clients because it will help them accelerate the results. Sometimes you don't necessarily have to reveal the framework. You just know you have the framework to take every client through. And essentially you ask them, trust the process, because you know that you've got the process. Your process is your framework. All right. So I like working in threes. So 9 steps essentially is 3 sets of threes. And then if I were to break those 3, each one of those into deeper things, I could break it even farther, but I want to keep it kind of high level today. So the first thing is your foundation or your packaging. All right. So if you were to divide it into 3 sections, I'm going to give you 3 sections first and then give you all the 9 steps. The first one is your foundation or your packaging. What it is that you do, who you do it with, how do you deliver it? All right. The second thing is your promotion or your traction. How do you get the word out? How do you get the leads in? How do you generate sales? If you are able to do that, you start gaining traction in your business. And finally, the third part is your, I'm always a little torn what to actually call it, because it's perfecting, it's perpetuating, it's maximizing your profits. But ultimately, if you want to put in there, it's accelerate and scale. That's your third part. Now, funny enough, nearly everybody that I get to work with, when they first come to me and say, okay, Adam, how do I do this Facebook advertising? How do I drive massive traffic? How do I accelerate? How do I work 4 hours a week and have, 100 clients in my program and don't work with anybody individually? All fantastic questions, but they all are in the third segment, which is like the top of the pyramid, and they all want to skip the bottom. And the problem is you can't get to the top. You may get lucky occasionally, but you can't get and stay at the top of this pyramid unless you build a solid foundation. All right. So again, we've got the package or foundation, we've got the promotion or traction, and then we've got the profit or perpetuation, and that's essentially your scaling and acceleration level. All right. So let me take you through all 9. The first thing you absolutely must have is a perfect prospect profile. Your perfect prospect profile. If you don't know who you want to do business with, nothing else works. Now, here is the problem. Most people fall in love with the solution and they create solution. They build it all out. They build programs, they build systems, they build courses without a clear picture who it is for. Look, I recently published my first book. And I had to go back through my notes when I actually hired a while back someone to help me flash out ideas for books. And it turned out when I started talking about my ideas, he said, you don't have one book, you've got 10 books in here. But aside from that, the first thing he asked me is like, look, who is this book for? Who is the one person you're writing this book for? Who is the one person you're building your business for? Right? If you're not clear, you will always struggle finding that person. So that's number 1, perfect prospect profile. Number 2, your unique solution system. And I have several different variations of what I call it. Unique solution system is typically what I call it most of the time. I also call it unique service solution, right? A lot of my clients are service oriented. So unique service solution or unique service package, USP. What's your USP? What's your unique service package? How do you deliver. How do you, what process? This is your framework. By the way, unique service solution, unique service package, unique solution, service solution, all of those things essentially dive into one thing. What is your framework you're going to take your clients through to guarantee that you're going to consistently, predictably deliver the results you sold them on? What is that process? And by the way, you don't have to have all of templates and forms and descriptions. You don't have to have all of that in place when you're starting out. But you've got to have a map. You've got to have an idea. You may start with just something like this. You may just start with just a one-page description so you know where you're taking people, right? If you don't have this, how else can you describe how you help people? How else can you describe, how else can you provide a guarantee? How else do you know what steps you're going to take your clients through? If you don't have this, you're essentially reinventing the wheel. Here's something else. Your framework can and will be improved. Don't look for perfection when you're starting out. All right. By the way, if you're liking this, I would love to get a little shout out. And I always come back and comment, even if you're watching the recording. So I always forget to mention this. And anyway, now I mentioned this. All right. So Julia, great to see him. Melissa, great to see you here. Awesome. So where was I? All right. So unique solution system. The third thing that you must have that's still part of your foundation is your irresistible offer. Now people think, isn't that the same thing? Is your unique solution service and your irresistible offer the same thing? No, it's not. All right. So your framework, your unique solution system, that is your process that you are going to take people through. Your irresistible offer is a translation of that process into the language of your perfect prospects. How will they talk about it? In other words, unique solution system is largely about features. It's how you're going to do things. All right. Your irresistible offer is about what they are going to get. What's in it for them? What's the result once you deliver your unique solution system? How they will be better off. And you need to talk about it in such a way that it grabs their attention, makes them listen, makes them naturally desire what you have and move forward with you. So in a way, think about it this way. This is your foundation, your package, right? You must know the who, your perfect prospect profile, because the who dictates what you will sell. That's your irresistible offer. And it dictates how it's going to be delivered, and that is your unique solution system. Got that? Who, your prospects, what they will get, all right? That is your irresistible offer, and how it's going to be delivered, that is your unique solution system. All right, hopefully that makes sense. Moving into the second threes, all right? This is now your promotion, or this is where you get traction. Now, to get traction, the first thing you need to create is your magnetic marketing message. How do you actually talk about what it is that you do? Again, what's the difference between irresistible offer? Well, irresistible offer goes into details like here's what you get. Marketing message, your magnetic marketing message, describes the big picture. It describes all of this. Here's who it's for. Here's what you will get. Here's how we deliver it. It's a summary thing that grabs people's attention. All right. The fifth step, all right, is your it's your conversion system. How are you going to turn leads and prospects into paying clients? What is your mechanism? Is it one-on-one conversation? Is it a sales letter online? Is it a webinar? All right. Is it a live event? How are you going to be converting prospects into clients? In short, you must learn how to sell. This is one of the biggest parts of this entire framework. If you learn how to sell, everything changes for you. All right. And number 6 is your capture system. Capture system meaning how are you going from people at large that just have maybe heard of you to actual leads? How do you convert them from audience to subscribers and leads? So this is your opt-in page. This is your free report giveaways. This is your webinar registrations. By the way, all right, this part, the magnetic marketing message conversion mechanism and a conversion system and a capture system, guess what? This is why I love webinars so much, because webinars serve as all of that in one. By the way, this part, I also call it my authority marketing system. If you know how to sell, if you know how to generate leads, and you have the message to bring people to that capture and conversion mechanism in a way that elevates your authority, you're pretty much golden. This is your basic authority marketing system. You need to have things like your lighthouse content. You need to have things like your spotlight efforts, all right? So this is your authority marketing system, things that legitimize you, allow people to recognize that you are an authority on a certain topic, all right? Again, this is your promote, this is your get traction segment. And finally, the last part, I'm going through it actually fairly quickly today, faster than I thought I would, which is actually good. All right, number 7 is, this is what everybody wants. Hey, Daph, great to see you here. Maria, great to see you here. Michelle, thank you for the hearts and all the love. Awesome. So this is a really cool part, ladies and gents. This third segment, this is where you get to accelerate and scale your business. This is what everybody wants, but no one wants to do the work in the bottom 2/3, all right? And thank you for the heart, Bojana, too. I appreciate that. I thought I got it 27 years ago, but hey, better now, better late than never. The only uninitiated Bojana, of course, is my wife. All right, so scalable, number 7, scalable business model. How are you going to leverage what it is that you do beyond one-on-one? Now check this out. You can't leverage, you can't scale beyond one-on-one, one-to-many, or passive as in a course unless you have a framework. All right, so we back now to step number 2, your unique solution system. What is the framework? That even if you take yourself out of the equation, the framework still exists. You still tell your clients, go do this, go do this, go do this. So 1, 2, 3, right? If you don't have that, if you don't have number 4, you don't get to pass go, go back to beginning or whatever the game is, right? So that's number 7, your scalable business model, your leverage delivery process. Number 8, this is where you think about automation and delegation. Again, you can't delegate and automate before you validate. I was talking to a friend who is also in the webinar business, and he shared with me, I have this thing. Do not automate before you validate. In other words, you do not automate things like your webinars or, your sales conversations. It's kind of hard, unless you know they're actually working. What's the point of putting a webinar on autopilot if it never converted a single sale? You're just doing all the mechanical work for nothing, right? Multiply 0, you still have 0. So my thing is to have to deliver at least 3 to 5 live webinars that convert. And he shared with me, dude, you're really being easy on your clients. In my business, they have to deliver 10 live webinars that perform at 10% conversion. If they have not done 10% conversion webinars, we do not automate. We keep tweaking and keep going at it live until they have 10 in a row, 10% or higher conversion. Then we know we've got a perfect formula. Then we automate. All right. So this whole automate, delegate, that's number 8 in this pyramid. That's nearly the very top. And finally, number 9 is your traffic accelerators. Now, when I tell you this, some of you will be a little pissed at me, all right? Things in the third pyramid, the scale, the accelerate, this is what most people want. So that's what you are being sold. You are being sold, look, what's a traffic accelerator? Facebook advertising, it's a traffic accelerator. Joint venture partnerships, they're traffic accelerators. Content marketing, traffic accelerators, all right? Now, creating courses, That's automation and delegation, right? All of that is in this last third of your framework of building a successful business. But because marketers know that that's what you want, that's what you're being sold. And here's the problem. Unless you have the first 6 steps in place firmly, and they actually working, you have absolutely no business jumping into the 7, 8, and 9. You shouldn't be validating, and you shouldn't be delegating and automating. You certainly should not be looking at what's my scalable business model. Pardon the French, but it's like, F the scale. Do things that don't scale at first to get traction. And surely you should not be investing money in buying traffic. You surely should not be, trying to get the attention of big gurus and say, hey, join venture and promote for me, because you've got nothing proven to promote. You are just trying to figure out how to swim, and you're trying to sign up for Olympics swim team. It just does not work. All right. So again, let me back up and recap it one more time. We have 3 sections of this framework. The first one is your foundation or your packaging. What's your actual thing that you're going to sell? And in that first part, you've got who, your perfect prospect persona. You've got what, which is your irresistible offer. And you've got the how, which is your unique solution system. And by the way, you cannot create an irresistible offer, and you surely cannot have a unique solution system unless you clear who it's for. So it has to be done in that sequence. And guess what's the one and only step that most people completely ignore? They don't want to do the research on the one client. They go like, just figure it out. If they can fog up a mirror and they have a credit card, I guess they're a good prospect for me. What a horrible way to start a business. Do you now see why most people struggle for years and eventually go out of business broken? Because they refuse to do this foundational work. The second third, this is your promotion. This is where you get traction for your business. If I were to do this, like the first part is the foundation. The second part is validation. The second part can take you to your nearly $500,000, for some people even $1 million. Without scaling, without automating, without doing all sorts of crap that you are being sold. And yet most people get so enamored in the latest technique and the gimmicks and the funnels and whatever, and they go like, I need this. No, you don't. The second part, which is number 1, your authority marketing system. That's the second part. Your magnetic marketing message. When people say, what do? Can you talk about what you do in such a way that gets attention, brings the ideal people to you? Do you have a lighthouse piece of content? Lighthouse meaning it communicates the problem, it communicates what are other failed solutions, it communicates how you are authoritatively different and how you have a unique solution system to solve people's problems, deliver them from pain, and bring them closer to pleasure. That is your lighthouse content. Do you have that in place first? And if you don't, you know why? Because you don't have the first 3 steps. You don't know who it's for. You don't know what's really attractive to them, and you don't know how to deliver it through a unique solution system. I keep going in circles and bringing those loops because it is a closed loop, and most people completely miss it. And most people don't have the patience to go through it because they refuse to do the deep work needed to get it done. So that's the second third. And only the third part, this is your acceleration. This is your leverage. This is your scale. This is where you maximize your profits. Right? But you've got to earn the right to get to this third. And the third is number 1, what is now a scalable business model? So if you've been into one-on-one or some sort of small groups, maybe now it's the time to bring in other coaches. Maybe now it's the time to create a large, non-limit, evergreen program that you can enroll people without any limits. Maybe now it's the time to create a course, because you've been consistently creating magnificent results for clients in one-on-one and group formats. And you go, I've got this thing figured out. My framework is killer. And I know exactly how to explain it to people in the course so they can take action on it. Before that, you really shouldn't be doing courses. I hate to burst your bubble. I know I'm one of those guys that's been hated because of all the course creators. But it's like, you don't need a freaking course platform if you just started your business. What are you building? You don't even know what you're delivering. Stop the madness, all right? Stop wasting your money on all this stuff. Number 8 is this is where you automate, this is where you delegate. So you've got now a business model, you've got your framework from the previous steps, you've got everything is proven, and you go, okay, how do I let go of the reins now? How do I bring in other people to start doing some of this magic so I can generate revenue without me pushing all the buttons all the time myself? And only the last part is your traffic accelerators, all right? Because now you've got the machine dialed in, and all you've got to do is feed it. And when it's done the right way, this is where you hear people go like, oh, I just throw $1 in and I get $10 out. Of course, because they've got a dialed in machine. They've got a dialed in machine. So nearly in all my programs, I try to hack the game. So for example, in my Revenue Rev Up Intensive game, 12-week business acceleration game, we focus on the three things out of this whole equation that will accelerate your growth. Number one, your package. Like, what is your package, and can we create an irresistible offer about it? If you don't have this, then we have nothing to talk about. How can we create a package that can sell for multiples of thousands of dollars? That's number one. Number two is your authority marketing system. All right. What is your lighthouse piece of content? A case study, an article. What's that? And then your conversion and your capture and conversion. How are you going to get leads? And how are you going to convert those leads into clients? That's really it. That's all we focus on. All right. Your package, get leads, and convert leads into sales. That's it. That's all we focus on. No automation, no mechanics. Most of the time we do things so grassroots, there is not even email lists. There's not even websites. And I've had clients who've accelerated to multiples of six figures, $250,000, $300,000 doing just that. Now, the second game we play is we try to skip the traction part and go into acceleration part a little bit quicker for people. Again, I can't make people do what needs to be done. I can only educate them, and then, people do what the people do. So the second game we play is a game of the webinars. Now, in the webinar game, again, I try to hack the game. What is your package? What is your marketing message? And then webinar is the educational process. Webinar replaces everything else. Webinar creates your capture mechanism. Webinar becomes your conversion mechanism. Webinar becomes your magnetic marketing message because it educates people on what it is that you do. But what's really important that we've got to do the first three steps. So for some of you that are in my webinar cash machine or just joining me, we have to figure out this perfect prospect persona. We have to figure out what is your unique solution system. Whether you're delivering it one-on-one or you insist on packaging into a course right away, if you don't have that figured out, the rest of the webinar are just the mechanics, all right? So, and if you don't have all of that in place first, you certainly have no business going after paid advertising and joint ventures and all the rest of the stuff. Those are foundations that must be put in place in that sequence. So if you were taking notes, all right, and if you look from the very top, you look at the very top of traffic accelerators. What's the first thing most people ask? Well, how do I get more traffic? How do I get more clients? Very easy. Your traffic and your clients are not a problem. It's a symptom of not having the previous things in place. Well, how do I automate and delegate in my business? Well, your automation and delegation is not a problem. The problem is you don't have the previous 7 steps, so you don't know what to automate and what to delegate. And then they say, well, you know what? How do I scale? How do I create a leverage business thing? Well, creating leverage is actually very, very easy. The problem is that you don't know what is your unique solution. You have nothing to leverage. You haven't validated anything, all right? And then we go into these things like how do I get more leads? What's my capture system? Well, who is your client? If you don't know, your leads are not a problem. Capture system, you can fog up a mirror and people go like, "Mom, beautiful art. Like, what do I sign up for this?" The problem is you don't know what's your client, what's their magnetic message. So if you don't have this, you can't convert them. Well, my sales aren't closing. Well, how can you convince people that you've got tremendous value if you can't quickly and succinctly explain it? So for example, in my sales calls, it's a very simple conversation. We focus on 3 things. Look, number 1 is your packaging. Number 2 is your promotion. And number 3 is your persuasion. So we've got a package that you're going to sell. We're going to figure out how to generate enough leads. And number 3, we're going to teach you how to persuade people to buy it. Look, I just explained in 3 steps my entire course. I don't go into details and everything else. Do you see why conversion is easy? Because I've got my foundation in place. Anyway, I now dissected this 9-step framework back, forth, and sideways. Hopefully it makes sense. All right. I told you the steps. I told you which 3 things to focus on to hack the entire process and accelerate it. I shared with you that if you are in a webinar game, you really are blessed, because webinar is an accelerator that makes all of the process, it sets it on fire, but you've got to do the first 3 steps. You've got to do the homework. There is no other way about it. All right. As always, thanks for participating. Jim Hart, thanks for the heart. I appreciate that. And as always, welcome. I would love to hear your ahas. What's your big takeaway from my rambling here? And until our next time, I'm going to sign off, and I'll see you next week in another edition. I might actually teach you how to create your own frameworks. That would be a good topic. If you like that idea, just comment framework or yes. Maybe just comment yes for frameworks. All right. And if you think it's a good idea, and I'll do it in my next marketing teaching moment next week. All right. Robert loves that. Maria says yes for frameworks. Love it. All right. That's 2 for now. I'm looking for the rest of them on the recording. I appreciate you, ladies and gents. And until next time, here's to your success. Cheers.